welcome to another video. Today we're watching the Mollusk tier list by TierZoo. This is my first time watching a full TierZoo video, and as you can see, I'm a snail, so I'm a mollusk. And on the thumbnail, it says I'm low tier trash. What the frick? Okay, let's go. Let's see. Mom, wait. Oh my, it's Splatoon. Looking to lose again. Mom said it was my turn with the shell. No, the rules are finders keepers. Not according to my mom, I'm telling. Oh, Mom! Cute. Also, I forgot to say, if you like my content, please like and subscribe. 88% of you guys are not subscribed. So please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And come over to Twitch to watch me live. Yippee!
Mollusks are one of the most diverse factions in the
it's
entire
kinda loud.
game. Indeed, much more diverse than I think most players realize. They are extremely popular both among casual and competitive players, with some builds demanding incredible
No, it was really that number. I looked it up earlier. I remembered.
levels of skill to pilot, while others are practically AFK. And with so many different potential mollusk builds to choose from, it can be difficult to know which builds are actually
Snail!
viable in the current meta.
Yes!
So today, we're going to go through the mollusk tier list. While I attempt to cover as many of the popular well-known builds as I can, mollusks are an extremely broad category, second only to arthropods in terms of number of individual members.
Oh my god. I actually didn't know it's that many. I didn't know squid are also mollusk, to be honest. Or octopi. I didn't know that. I thought it was just like snails, slugs, and like oysters.
Some are getting left out of this video for the sake of time. Still, by highlighting standout builds in both the high and low tiers, hopefully I can give you a good understanding of where the mollusk faction fits into the current metagame, and will be able to fill in the gaps for yourself. But before we dive into the tier list, what is a mollusk? And what are their common attributes? Mollusks are a huge group, encompassing all gastropods, all bivalves, and all cephalopods.
Ah, there's cephalopods. Yeah, I thought it was only gastropods and bivalves. You never stop learning.
While every group has its outliers, most factions at least have some consistency in their base stats. Birds tend to have pretty high mobility, mammals tend to have high intelligence, arthropods high defense, and so on. With mollusks, though, it's pretty hard to pin down any obvious through line. Pick any one stat and you can probably find a mollusk both at the top and bottom of the charts. But one thing you will not find is a mollusk with basic middle-of-the-road stats. While the numbers and combinations will vary greatly between builds, one thing I've noticed is that just about every mollusk has something extreme about it, with at least one stat being either incredibly high or abysmally low.
Oh my god, I'm so curious what it is for the snail.
But anyway, given just how hard it is to generalize them, we may as well just dive straight into tier list.
Common
At
slug!
the bottom of F tier, we have the common slug.
Oh no, F tier.
While this build may look like it has all the downsides of the snail without any of the benefits of the snail's protective shell, yeah, it's pretty much exactly what it looks like. The garden slug genuinely has some of the worst stats in the entire game, with even its best stat being fairly mid. Its only defensive ability is its slime, which does help ward off attachment.
It's okay, guys. It's okay. I'm a snail. I'm not a slug, okay?
Insects. It's a double-edged sword, though, as their slime also leaves a trail, making slugs one of the easiest builds in the game to track down. Now, I will admit, there are some advantages to not having a shell. The main one being that
what is this gore?
slugs can slip through much smaller cracks, and hide underground much more easily. However, since they need to come out to feed anyway, this doesn't really help them avoid predation all that well. So with all these negatives and pretty much nothing else going for them, the snail without a shell is going in F tier.
Oh no!
Next in F tier, we have the common clam. A build that exemplifies
bottom of the food chain, yeah, actually. But you know, they're homeless snails. They need a home. I know a nasty motherfucker that used to leave his trail when we walked. Hello? Also, hello,
the extreme
Dharma.
stat lines I was talking about, too.
Yo, defense is crazy.
With no eyes, terrible movement abilities, and no attacking moves, and no brain, the clam has to rely on only two stats, both of which are quite high. The first is their stealth, on account of the clam's surprisingly decent burrowing ability. By wedging themselves into the seabed, they can stay out of sight from most potential threats. But if an enemy manages to find them in spite of this, the clam has some of the heaviest armor of any mollusk, being able to deflect some pretty substantial damage. But with no ability to counterattack or escape, eventually a persistent attacker will deal enough damage to spell game over. Well,
Is Mib hard or squishy? I'm slimy.
Okay, technically clams can move, but I mean, come on. In the current meta, this just isn't enough. What's worse is that even though clams can burrow down to hide, in order to survive, they need to filter feed, and to do that, they must poke their most vulnerable weak point above the surface of the seabed, giving away their hiding spot and opening themselves up to a devastating critical hit.
Oh, no! No, the snail is F tier.
Top of F tier, we have the common snail. The garden snail has most of the same weaknesses as the previous 2 entries on the tier list, but slightly less severe. Snails are every bit as slow and non-threatening as slugs,
cute.
but they do at least have a shell to help block attacks. They can even use their shell to shield bash
F tier streamer, no!
attackers in a pinch, though this doesn't do much damage. However, similar to the clam, because of how slow their movement speed is and how weak their counterattacks are, eventually an aggressive player will be able to punch through their defenses. So they're not the worst of the worst, but compared to some of the
low tier VTuber, no! Hi Kitsune, hello. S tier my book, SSS plus, thank you guys.
Higher up the tier list, the basic snail build just isn't gonna cut it.
Bruh.
At the bottom of D tier, we have the Scallop.
Wait,
the Scallop is essentially a more decked out version of the Clam.
Exactly, it's rigged, bruh. Wait, should I go here or there? I don't know what's better.
Its defense stat than the Clam, its weaknesses are also much less pronounced.
Oh, hello, M.
Instead of being completely immobile, Scallops, oddly enough, have eject repulsion ability.
Scallop. Do mollusks eat other mollusks? God, I hate saying mollusks.
Usually only found in cephalopods and box jellies. Though it has a high cooldown, this ability gives them an escape option if they're ever under direct attack, something every other build on this list so far desperately needs. Of course, being able to flee from battle wouldn't do them much good if they couldn't see attacks coming. But thankfully, Scallops also spec into primitive eyes, enabling them to detect predators and reposition themselves accordingly. In theory, anyway. One of the issues with simple eyes is that even the most basic stealth techniques, such as, for example, moving very slowly, can get past their danger sense, resulting in Scallops getting regularly bodied by starfish. So while they're definitely a bit more versatile than some mollusks, I can't give them too much credit.
I can't believe I lost to that.
Next in D tier, we're going to have the first of the cephalopods on our tier list, the chambered Nautilus. The Nautilus is a slow-moving armored scavenger build that sustains itself mostly on...
I know it's not, but at least it has the snail shape.
Try this and carry on with the bottom of the sea. While being able to swim while rocking a tough
I think they're kind of creepy.
Is impressive, their terrible swim speed shows just how power crept this ancient build has gotten. Their perception stat is also pretty mid, especially for a cephalopod, which on average have some of the best vision of any marine build. The Nautilus used to be a much more popular build until seals and sea lions were added to the game, as their high agility and armor-piercing bite gave them a crushing matchup versus the Nautilus. So, while it is impressive that the Nautilus has made it through some of the rough... It
looks so silly how they swim.
...balanced patches in the game's history, the fact that they were driven to the depths by seals doesn't scream high tier to me.
Oh.
First in C tier, we have the Geographic Cone. This marine snail build rocks pretty much all the same strengths and weaknesses as your average snail, with one major exception. This snail can one-shot just about anything.
Hell
the Geographic Cone has a venomous harpoon which it uses to hunt fish,
it's Kirby
but it can also use it to defend itself in a
snail.
pinch. Now, the Geographic Cone is still incredibly slow and really not all that stealthy, so actually landing a hit on a fish is a bit of a challenge. Still, this is one gastropod you really don't want to underestimate.
Oh my god!
Armor, so any starfish man who thinks that all mollusks are
fish.
easy pickings is in for a rude awakening.
Oh my god, these are so cute! The Dumbo Octopus.
We have the Dumbo Octopus. This is one of the strangest cephalopod builds in the entire game, and lacks a lot of the signature abilities players normally associate with the octopus. But it also has a mix of other unique traits that normal octopuses don't. You see, the Dumbo Octopus is a deep sea build, and on that server, the normal stealth techniques simply don't apply. Color change.
Yeah, guys, fun fact for the YouTube vlogs. I was thinking of becoming a Dumbo Octopus VTuber instead of a snail VTuber at first. But I'm happy to be a snail.
And ink clouds aren't going to do a player any good when most of the major threats aren't relying on vision anyway. So even though those abilities are what the octopus is best known for, unfortunately the Dumbo Octopus has to find other ways to remain hidden from predators. and unfortunately this means it needed to make even more trade-offs. Rather than using jet propulsion, which is a conspicuous and turbulent but incredibly effective movement ability, the Dumbo Octopus swims using large fins on the side of its mantle. This is significantly...
Oh, it's fins. I thought it was... They look like ears. They're so
but a great deal
cute.
stealthier too. This makes it too slow to catch fish, but it's still able to thrive off of its winning matchup versus crustaceans. Its webbed tentacles are perfect for surrounding and capturing targets on the seafloor. So definitely an interesting build, but by having this...
Oh, that's why Dumbo Octopus! Oh my god, of course! Of course! Yeah. Dumbo flies with ears, yeah!
Sacrifice so much of what makes the octopus so overpowered, the Dumbo Octopus is definitely one of the lower tier
C
ones.
tier.
And at the top of C tier, we also have the first squid on our list, the Bobtail Squid. This is another cephalopod which uses a fairly unorthodox ability to boost its stealth. As one of the smallest cephalopods in the game, the Bobtail Squid really cannot take any hits. So, in order to avoid most of the ocean's major threats, the Bobtail buries itself during the day and only comes out at night. However,
Wait,
even
that's
under
a squid? It looks like a
cover of
frog.
darkness, the Bobtail Squid would still be at risk of being attacked. Though it's somewhat counterintuitive, on a night where the moon and stars are unobscured, detecting another player in the water isn't as hard as you might think. The shadows they cast in the water are highly visible and give away a
You look
player's
like a
location
fucking
immediately,
bruh. Thank
making
you.
it very easy for predators lurking below
Frogs
to
are
strike.
cute.
The Bobtail Squid deals with this by speccing into an extremely rare and strange ability, bioluminescence. It may seem backwards to hide by glowing, but doing so obscures the squid by removing its shadow. Of course, this does make them easier to detect from above, but
What
attacks
the
at night from
heck?
seabirds are much less common. The bobtail may
Yeah, they
have the lowest
glow.
stats of any cephalopod, but its unique and creative way of hiding in plain sight keeps it out of the low tiers.
It's so cute.
I can't give it too much credit though, because while its strategy for stealth at night is clever, honestly it's not that good at hiding during the daytime, having a seemingly worse ability to camouflage itself due to its bright coloration.
VTubers, that's a fire concept right there. Come on. Leaf
At the
sheep.
bottom of B tier,
Oh my god, that's so cute! Holy shit! That's also a good
we have the leaf
concept.
sheep, a sea slug with a truly unique ability called
Oh, it's a
kleptoplasty.
slug, yeah.
Leaf sheep is able to absorb the chloroplasm.
Look at him! He's like the Pokemon. You know which one I mean? What was the name? Also Snom. But I mean Shymin.
It's from the algae it consumes, essentially stealing the algae's photosynthesis ability. This ability generates XP passively over time, allowing them to grow, heal, and regenerate their energy
Cute.
without eating. It's hard to overstate how game-breaking this ability
Look at their
would be if it
little
weren't on a character
eyes.
with otherwise pathetic base stats. For a human, this would basically be like if sitting in the
For
sun
technically
provided
the forest myth fan art I made for you. True.
the same benefits as eating well and working out. Unlike some of the sea slugs higher up on this list, the leaf sheep doesn't really have any defensive abilities.
Oh.
But if you want a character that is extremely forgiving in terms of the resource management side of things, the leaf sheep may actually be the best build in the game for anyone looking for that chill casual playstyle.
Ooh, B tier, not bad. Not
On pretty much
bad.
the exact opposite end of the spectrum, next in B tier we have the
Yo.
giant squid. Now obviously this thing's HP stat is extreme, with it being the largest mollusk in the game. But one thing I bet you weren't expecting was for it to also have the highest perception stat of any mollusk.
Ooh.
I mentioned before that in the dark depths of the ocean, the normal stealth mechanics don't apply. Well, the giant squid is the exception to this. Its eyes are so large, the largest in the game in fact, that even with only
Ooh.
a tiny fraction of a percent of sunlight making it
Ew, what's
to the depths,
that?
the giant squid can still see. This is
Oh
bad
my
news for
God,
all the
I
deep
can't
sea builds that
imagine.
assumed camouflage wasn't necessary and spec'd their character accordingly. This incredible eyesight is necessary for more than just hunting though. Being gigantic
Wait, what? Am I nearsighted or farsighted? I'm in the minus. I have minus 3.25. My eyes are not good.
unfortunately makes you extremely easy to detect via echolocation.
Snail has bad
so they have
eyes.
to remain vigilant constantly
You're
to avoid being
no-sighted?
ambushed by the Abyssal
Bruh.
server's true apex predator. Luckily, their vision has a range just barely more than that of the whale's sonar, so as long as they're on top of their
Ooh.
game, they should be able to outmaneuver and avoid attacks.
Colossal
On this same
Squid.
tier, I'm also going to include
Also
the Colossal
huge.
Squid, which has many of the same traits as the giant squid, including massive eyes and incredible dark vision. The Colossal Squid does have a few subtle differences in its kit though. It's slightly heavier, but also less mobile,
Oh, I'm
relying on
nearsighted,
ambushes using
okay.
its 2 extra long arms to capture prey, as opposed to the giant squid's more traditional method of rushing down a target with an array of tentacles. The Colossal Squid also has hooks on its arms, which do more damage and can inflict bleed buildup,
Oh my
making them much more
God.
dangerous for whales to attack, making up for their slower swim speed.
Meow.
However, at the end of the day, both the giant squid and Colossal Squid have terrible matchups against whales, and because of their large size, their energy upkeep costs are insane. So they have to play pretty much a perfect game to avoid
Whoa.
getting smoked. Both are powerful builds if you know what you're doing, but not without their limitations.
Blue
At the
sea
bottom of A
dragon.
tier, we have another sea slug.
Ooh, that one is also so cool. The slugs are so
Blue
cool.
sea dragon. Similar to the leaf sheep, this slug also has the power to copy the ability of its main food
It's a
source. But in this
dragon.
case, the blue dragon isn't consuming algae, it's consuming
Don't
jellyfish.
touch.
The blue sea dragon is able to absorb the
think,
venomous
yeah.
nematocysts from the tentacles of their prey, and in doing so, gains a massive buff in the form of an equally deadly sting at the tip of its frills. This is incredible,
Are those the biblically accurate angels?
as the
Maybe.
blue sea dragon is able to gain the most powerful ability of the jellyfish faction without any of the awful downsides, like, you know, being literally brainless and having no control over their own movement. Blue sea dragons also have much better stealth than a lot of sea slugs, using the counter-shading technique with a bright underbelly and dark blue backside, making them hard to see both from above
Yeah,
and
they're
below.
so cool.
While not quite as OP as some
They-
of the cephalopod mollusks, the blue sea
They're
dragon
actually like
definitely stands above
dragons.
all other slugs and snails as a unique and formidable outlier.
What? Really? That's the last. Is that the last slug slash snail? Oh my god. I guess slugs and snails are kinda shit. No! You guys, it's okay. It's okay. I have different skills, okay? I have different skills. I skilled in charisma. Yeah. Hey, Chad. Babe. Okay.
Next in A tier, we have the common octopus, a solid representative of the octopus faction as a whole. It possesses the core abilities that define the octopus build, along with its inherent vulnerabilities. Its 2 standout strengths are stealth and intelligence. The common octopus boasts some of the best stealth in the game,
Meow.
capable of changing both its color and texture to blend seamlessly into virtually any environment: dense weeds, jagged rocks, or barren seabeds. And if its camouflage fails and it's ever spotted, it can deploy an ink cloud to temporarily debuff the attacker's perception stat, usually buying enough time to escape. However, escape is often its only viable option, as the octopus has some of the lowest defenses in the game.
Ooh.
With no armor whatsoever, any hit it takes can deal devastating damage.
Just parry,
Even in
bro.
a server as perilous as the ocean, where threats abound regardless of armor, the common octopus must play cautiously. Bites from everyday fish can pose a serious risk, so despite its impressive abilities, it requires careful strategy to survive. Speaking of bites though, one lesser known but important ability the octopus has is venom, which it delivers via a bite with its sharp beak. Finally, now's as good a time as any to say that although it's not a combat weakness, the octopus's biggest weakness is its low lifespan. Given that a lot of the
Aw.
octopus's best tricks need to be
Oh,
learned,
really? I thought they lived for a long time.
either by observation or trial and error, the octopus's already powerful
know
intelligence
why.
would be a lot more
Is that Squidward?
powerful if the devs
Oh,
allowed
2
it to be refined over the course of a few
years.
decades, like dolphins,
Aw.
parrots, and humans get. This weakness is pervasive through the entire
no.
cephalopod faction, which is interesting because some of the other mollusks are pretty much the exact
Wait,
opposite.
what? 100 years. Jesus
But
Christ.
yeah, this is why despite their many overpowered abilities, it's hard to give any cephalopods a top tier rank unless they're truly broken in even more ways than usual. Ranking slightly higher in A tier, the giant octopus adapts on the octopus archetype with one minor tweak, trading some stealth for greater strength. While it retains the ability to change color and texture to blend into its surroundings, and can deploy an ink cloud to escape threats, it's less adept at stealth than the common octopus.
Yes,
due to
I will be 69 plus 1 on the 8th of July. Snails can live for a long time. You know? I mean, I don't think... maybe they can, but yeah,
its
anyway.
larger size. which makes it more noticeable when moving.
Wait, it caught a
However,
shark?
then it comes into its surroundings
Yo!
and can deploy an ink cloud
No,
to
that's
escape
not a
threats.
shark.
It's with one ranking
Oh my
slightly higher
God!
in A tier. The giant octopus adapts on the octopus archetype with one minor tweak,
Insanity!
creating some stealth for greater strength. While
Oh yeah, YouTube! Birthday stream on the 8th of July. Please come to my birthday. Wait, I don't know if I stream on the 8th of July or on the 7th. Please come to my
it
birthday.
retains the ability to change color and texture to blend into its surroundings, and can deploy an ink cloud to escape threats. It's less adept at stealth than the common octopus due to its larger size, which makes it more noticeable when moving. However, this trade-off comes with significant advantages. Its above-average bulk gives it a wider margin of error in confrontations. Unlike the typically less brawny octopus builds, the
Oh my
giant
God.
octopus boasts impressive physical power, with arms capable of wrestling mid-sized
insane.
sharks and a beak that deals
You would think sharks are so powerful because they can bite, right? They have like sharp teeth and they can just go. But the octopus is
substantial
crazy.
slicing damage, in addition to being venomous. It also shares the same high intelligence that other octopuses do, enabling it to tackle problems and improvise solutions on the spot. Though it shares the same lack of armor as other octopuses, leaving it exposed to heavy damage, the giant
Sharks
octopus's
are so
enhanced strength and unique
misunderstood,
abilities more than
really.
offset its reduced stealth, marking it as a force to be reckoned with. Next in A
Humboldt
tier we have
Squid.
the Humbult Squid,
That
also
one's cute
known
too.
as the Red Devil. The Humbult Squid
But that one, it kind of also has like ears, but it's only one ear.
is the wolf of the ocean. It doesn't have the best stats in any one category. It's not the fastest, it's not the largest, and it's not the deadliest. However, it is well above average in all of those categories. And that, plus some impressive hunting tactics, makes it one of the most fearsome mollusks in the game. During the day, Humbult squid mains hang out in the deep sea out of sight. But as it gets dark, the hunt begins, and the squid rise from the depths to attack. They hunt in packs, coordinating with each other via pulsing red and white light.
Holy
These feeding
shit.
frenzies can tear through schools of fish in an instant, and then return back to the depths before builds like the dolphin can arrive to challenge them.
Bruh.
Now, obviously, communicating with light pulses has the disadvantage of giving away your location, so faster characters will usually be able to avoid getting caught in the frenzy. But still, the fear factor alone of getting caught surrounded by large glowing red squid has to earn it a spot in A tier.
That is scary. Imagine you're just a silly fish. You're just a silly fish swimming around, and then you just get caught, like boom, and then you die. It does look like
And
an
last
alien.
in A tier we have the Mimic Octopus. The Mimic Octopus is a smaller mollusk with below average stats for its archetype. However,
What
the
do you
Mimic
mean
Octopus uses
blowhole?
its color changeability in a truly unique way to shapeshift into the form of other marine characters.
Yo.
In doing so, it can trick other players into misplaying in many different ways. The
Imposter.
most obvious strategy is just to mimic a character with a powerful venomous ability, like a lionfish or sea snake. This will cause predators to leave you alone for fear of getting stung or bitten. But this technique can also be used on offense to trick a target into a false sense of security by mimicking something less dangerous like a starfish or flatfish.
Yo! Hello, Pie! Thank you for the raid! Yo! Hello! Hello, Misanjik! Hello, Akatsuki! Hello, Thick Mommy! Hello, everyone! Welcome! I'm Mipian. I'm a Snail VTuber, and we're currently watching a Mollusk tier list video because as a snail, I'm a mollusk. And you guys, the snail was F tier. It was the lowest tier. God damn it. How was your stream? I was able to catch a little bit. How did it go? How did it go? If you want to raid and run, feel free to do so. I know streaming can be very energy intense. What is it? Energy and intense, yeah. Yeah, anyway, thank you. Hello, Tommy. Hello. Tiring, yes. Tiring. But yeah, you're welcome to stay if you wanna. We're just relaxing. We're watching the Mollusk tier list, and then after that, we wanna watch Kitchen Nightmares. Because I love Gordon Ramsay. Had a very fun stream. That's awesome. That's awesome. Snails are my favorite mollusk. Hell yeah.
Now, while
Hell
this
yeah.
is all extremely impressive, it's worth noting that the Mimic Octopus's options
Mine
are
too.
fairly limited. It's most effective at mimicking characters that already share its black and white stripe appearance. When it attempts
my
to mimic
God.
something else, it's admittedly a lot less convincing. And if their disguise
This one
fails,
is so
their below-average
fancy.
base stats leave them in a pretty vulnerable position
my
should an
God.
enemy attack. A high-skill, high-reward technique, and one that deserves some pretty high recognition.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I didn't know either that octopuses are mollusks.
But one that's also easy
I thought
to overlook.
only snails and clams, but yeah, octopuses are
It's
also
clever, but not
mollusks.
quite broken. Okay, we've finally reached the S tier. If you've
Yo.
watched up until this point and are enjoying the video, I'd really appreciate it if you took a second to subscribe to the channel.
I
Thanks.
subscribed.
At the bottom of S tier, we have another small mollusk with blue
Don't
accents,
worry about
the
it.
blue-ringed octopus. This is one of the
Yo, this one looks so
smallest
cool.
octopus builds in the game, but you wouldn't know it if
Poctopus,
all you
yeah.
saw was its power stat. The blue-ringed octopus has the deadliest venom of any mollusk, even deadlier than the
Octopuses.
Geographic Cone. Its venom is the same neurotoxin found in pufferfish, which can one-shot almost anything
Looks
within
so
only a few
cool.
minutes. Because of the blue-ringed octopus's insanely high damage, this build opts for the aposomatism technique, where rather than attempting to hide from predators using camouflage,
Oh my
when
God.
threatened, it instead boldly asserts its presence with vibrant neon blue markings all along its body. In doing so, it is essentially flexing on other predator players, saying
Oh
it
my
has no
God.
reason to fear them and daring them to make a move. This stat is
Exactly.
common among
Hell
players with
yeah.
powerful toxic abilities,
I
and
love
most
that.
players quickly learn that bright colors mean danger. Now, one of
Wait, what's the octomom?
the usual drawbacks of this ability is that it dramatically cuts the player's own stealth
Oh,
stat.
cute
While
frog.
this trade-off makes sense when it comes to scaring off predators, if you're a predator yourself, this makes the task of catching prey harder, as they'll be able to see you coming more easily. But because of the octopus's innate color change ability, the blue-ringed octopus is able to switch its intimidation ability on and off, allowing it to remain stealthy when it needs to. Now, of course, because it's on the small side, there's always a chance an opponent could
Wait, it is tiny.
overwhelm the octopus and take it down before it had the chance to counterattack. But more often than not, this small octopus is
Ugh.
turning the tide on anything that dares challenge it. While it's definitely a glass cannon, the blue-ringed octopus's incredible stats and unique ability to subvert one of its major weaknesses earns it a spot in S tier. And on the topic of
Hell
subverting
yeah.
weaknesses,
Coconut
next in S tier we have
octopus.
the coconut octopus. This is the octopus build with the highest intelligence stat of any mollusk, and the only one that makes tool use a core
Yo,
part
what
of
the
its strategy.
heck?
The octopus's biggest
He can
weakness is
hide.
its pathetic defense stat, and this was actually a direct
No,
nerf to overpowered
don't put him in an air fryer.
cephalopod builds of the past.
No.
Many cephalopods used to have thick, sturdy shells like other mollusks do, way back during the Ordovician expansion. By using their incredibly high intelligence and tool use ability, the coconut octopus is able to regain access to heavy armor by equipping the shells of defeated scallops and
Yo.
clams. This makes them much less vulnerable to being picked off by a random attack from a fish or bird. In addition, kind of similar to the mimic octopus, most players don't have their guard up around a clam.
Is that Boulder's Gate? Yeah.
So the shell also provide excellent cover to ambush opponents from.
Well,
And after
Octomom is a 2009 meme. I don't think I know
scoring a
it.
win, they
I'm
can
sorry.
retreat to the safety of their shell to
I'm
avoid getting it
sorry.
stolen. Similar to leopards dragging their food
Yeah,
up into trees to avoid
five-head,
hyenas.
octopus.
But shells
Oh,
aren't
shit,
the
sorry.
only tools the coconut octopus has learned to incorporate into its combat repertoire. Using its water siphon, it can also launch debris at fish, making them one of the only builds in the game with access to a ranged attack. This is excellent at dealing chip damage without leaving the safety of the shell, meaning they don't fall into the same trap as clams by relying on defense with no means of counterattacking. Overall, this is truly one of the most impressive showcases of tool use in the entire game, other than
Hell
humans,
yeah.
as it legitimately subverts one of the weaknesses of the typical octopus build without sacrificing any of the perks. An easy S tier rank.
Insanity. Cuttlefish.
And now our final S tier, the Cuttlefish.
Oh!
The Cuttlefish has a number of impressive stats, including
that's-
quite literally the
Oh, that's an octopus. It just looked like a slug for a little bit. It looked like.
highest stealth
Oh
stat
my
in the game.
god.
It has the most advanced version of the color change ability, and is able to swap
So
between colors at such an
cool.
incredible rate that it can basically animate
Does it
its
like to cuddle? Oh my god. That's why it's called the cuttlefish.
skin. This means that in addition to standard camouflage, the cuttlefish can also use its appearance to confuse and hypnotize its prey, or startle and intimidate its predators. Though it may not have the ability to fire projectiles like the coconut octopus, its grappling arms give it a deceptively long reach, often catching players off guard and setting them up to get comboed into the cuttlefish's venomous bite. Even though the cuttlefish has no abilities which buff its defense, actually landing a hit on this agile and mesmerizing character is genuinely one of the most difficult things in the game.
Why is he like... He looks like a gaming PC. That's crazy.
That is a lot closer to that of a squid than
Oh
an
my
octopus,
god.
even though the rest of their abilities all align much more closely to the octopus. The cuttlefish combines the most powerful elements from both the squid, like high maneuverability and
Built
long
in
reach,
RGB,
and the
yeah,
octopus, like
crazy.
intelligence, venom, and color changing, into one overpowered build. And for that, I'm ranking it as the #1 mollusk in the game.
Yo.
And that's the tier list. Overall, the viability of mollusks is super
Guys, look at the snail. It's just down there.
inconsistent. Best cephalopods are truly busted, but the faction is also filled with a lot of suboptimal jank and AFK farming builds. So there really is something for everyone here, from meta tryhards to low-tier heroes. Now, knowing which traits and abilities to invest in can be a difficult choice. Luckily for you, I've partnered with the game
Snails finish last.
Cell to
What does it
Singularity to
mean?
provide you the perfect training simulation. Cell to Singularity is a scientifically accurate, non-fiction idle clicker game where you begin as a single cell and have to unlock traits to evolve your biology, increase your intellect,
That's
and
silly.
invent new technology in order to conquer the universe and reach the ultimate singularity point. It is a relentlessly fun idle game that had me hooked for weeks.
Another clicker
I
game
love
for a MIP. I love games like this.
the
I
charming
love games
low-poly
like
3D animals
this.
that you
I don't
unlock as you
know.
progress through the Tree of Life. They're currently running a limited-time game event focused on the dark depths of the ocean. See if you can spot stuff you learned
I
from
don't
this
think it's
video
like Spore because it looks like you actually make real animals.
on the unlock tree. It's free to play and available on Steam, iOS, and Android. If you complete the Deep Sea event and stick around for the next update,
House
you'll
cats.
get to play through the Cat event, an update we actually collaborated on together. If you complete that, you'll even unlock a special TierZoo themed badge, which will permanently
Yo,
give your
this
simulation
game helped me become a
valuable
snail,
speed buff.
guys.
So please do check this one
Crazy.
out. Cell to Singularity is one of my absolute favorite companies to work with, and I love their unique way of getting gamers interested in learning about ecology. Again, it is completely free to play, so click or tap the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen now.
Alright.
Thanks again for watching, and as always, good luck out there.
Alright. It's right there, everyone. Link is in the description to this video. Cool video. I can't believe snails are an F tier. So I guess I'm an F tier streamer. I'm an F tier person, animal, VTuber, I don't know. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to TierZoo. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye YouTube, come to Twitch, bye bye.